But let's see, it is 12 on the
Is
dot.
it
So we are
time?
going to go ahead and get started. And I'm so excited for this webinar. I love the website builder, page builder. It's one of my favorite features in Travefy. And I always tell folks this, but it almost can seem like a separate product on its own because of how much you can delve into it. So
True.
with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Marketing with Travefy. We're going to create a website together. And just to introduce my wing woman, Stephanie, she usually is the one who's talking to you guys, but I said, Stephanie, please let me talk to the people. And she let me.
Had to let Bonnie talk to the people. No,
Yes,
I'm really excited, but also, Bonnie, you always make like the coolest websites with Travefy. So there's no one better to do this. This is awesome.
I am excited. But yeah, this is being recorded. And please, I know this is going to feel like a lot. It always does. But feel free once you're done, take, a coffee break, a lunch break, whatever it might be. Come back. You'll have the recording available. You can rewatch all of these parts. But with that, the agenda, we are going to do, as I said, an overview of the page builder. We're going to look at elements. We're going to play around with them, how to customize them, just some general tips that can help get you started with it or even just improve upon what you already have. And then we'll chat about importing trips, forms, buttons are a big one, and then of course Q&A. So if you have any questions, make sure to put it in the Q&A spot of today's Zoom, and Stephanie and Scott are going to just go through them, help answer them, help make sure we have some good ones to go over at the end. But our all-in-one workflow, we have a lot of different features, as you know, and today we're going to be really focusing on marketing and leads. So again, websites, landing pages, I'm a broken record talking about that and seeing how that transitions into leads today. But I've done enough talking, enough of my presentation slides. Let's dive in to that page builder. And first things first, I started a whole new account just so we can really start from scratch. Now, where do we want to go? We want to go to the pages button. I'm going to say page builder. That's where we can create that website as well as landing pages. So upon clicking pages, if you've never been here before, this is exactly what you're going to see. And these are 4 themes that we can choose from. Now, I say, go with the one that you like the look of the most for right now, because you can always go back. You can change this later on. You can even go start viewing the demos if you want to just have a better look at it. For today, I'm going to go with everyone's favorite, which is Santorini. I'm selecting Apply Theme. Now, upon doing that, I'm going to click out this purple banner. It's taking us to that page builder. And I want to take a moment to just give some general vocab terminology. I'm saying landing page a lot. I'm saying website builder. You might be thinking, what is the difference? A landing page, this would be a single landing page. It's a page on its own. A website is pretty much made up of multiple landing pages connected together through the use of buttons and links, which we'll get into. But again, think of this as just a single page. If I connect it to another one, it's a website. Now, I'm going to click save. And as with everything, there's a lot to look at. So I'm going to try and make this as simple as possible. I always recommend to people, whether you've used this a lot or not, to start off in your edit page menu, top right corner. With that being said, you're going to have 3 tabs to choose from, and you can enter in these details. And I say start here because it's going to lay a good foundation for the rest of your page. So we're going to go in on this together. I'm going to start off in theme. Theme is the fun one. This is where we can choose our different colors and change the theme if we want to. So I'm going to grab a color code. And for those of you who have a logo, you can easily get your color code from, if you went through a designer, you can get your colors and you can just paste that color right in here. Now, I'm going to remove that hashtag. This is the color I'm going with. It's kind of a beige mauve color. Favicon, if you're interested, this is what's going to appear at the top of the tab when people are clicking into your website. So for Travefy's, it's our little blue circle with our airplane in it. Super tiny, keep it simple. It's going to be up there. It helps with branding, but no worries if you don't have it. I don't. I'm going to skip past it for today. And like I said, you can always come back in here and change your theme out whenever you want, just by clicking and making sure you hit save. Now, Next tab over, theme, pretty easy. We're starting off on a good starting point. I'm going to go over check out SEO and social. Since we're talking about mostly websites today, this is super important in making sure that your website appears at the top of search results, whether people are using Google, Bing, whatever else is out there. And a good SEO site description, typically 2, 3 sentences describing yourself, what you specialize in. So for today, and I'm going to do a lot of copying and pasting and not force you to watch me just struggle to type all of this out. I'm going to paste some in and I'm going to zoom in so you can see this just a little bit better. But I'm basically describing my fake business as a travel agency, what I customize in or specialize in. So if someone were on the internet, they search European travel agency. European travel agency, both are terms in my description. So I'm more likely to pull up in those Google search results or Bing search results. But if you have any questions or just need some extra pointers, you're always welcome to chat us. We are always happy to send you just some different articles on what can help make a good solid SEO description. But next part, social media image. And again, we're just in our SEO and social tab. I'm clicking into that social media image. You can upload whatever you want. I personally like to see a logo put in here. And I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to grab this one of mine and select open. I always do this as well. Click that edit button to make sure that crop is fitting it all in. Once that's there, select keep edits and you're going to have to save about 5 different times. But now, if I were to post this on a social media such as Facebook, here's kind of what that's going to look like for right now, at least. Logo showing and a little bit of my description. But again, we're working through that edit page menu. We have one last tab to go through before we get into more fun items, and that's our page one. Now, starting at the top, we have what we call a page slug. I do not know why we call it that. I have asked all of the developers and product team why we call it that. No one knows, but this is essentially a customizable piece of your URL. So for a home page, I'm going to say home. For a page title, we want to make sure it matches what this page is about. This way, you aren't going to have a million untitled pages. You don't have to do the guesswork there. So, page title, this one's pretty easy. We'll call it home as well. But if you're ever doing a landing page where you're doing a group promotion, anything like that, go ahead, have the page slug be something personal, customizable. Let's say Smith Family Vacation 2024. That can absolutely be a part of that page slug and a part of that URL that you can share out. But last thing, rearrange area. If you have been using Travefy for even a little bit, we love drag and drop, and that is true for the website builder. So as you can see, we have our page. We give you a certain order of what we call elements, and you can rearrange these really easily within that edit page menu. So I say, you know what? When you're at this spot, take a look. If you want to move things around, just kind of match your photo up. Let's say I want to move this to be right in between here. I'm just going to drag and drop it. And now it's in that order. But again, edit page menu, good starting point to find a groove that you really like to do. But like I said, we just went through all 3 tabs. We got through the, kind of the boring stuff, if you will. So I'm going to click save. And now we get to dive into the fun customizing. Now, again, just to do a quick recap, here's what our page is looking like so far. We rearranged this element or a building block, if you will, to the middle. And maybe, it's just way too similar with this top one. I just need to get rid of it. I just need to experiment around. So if we want to do that, click onto what you want to edit, and the menu to edit those details and that element itself is going to appear on that right-hand side. So I'm going to say, click the 3 dots, and I'm deleting it. Now it is gone from my page. And you know what? I'm going to delete this one too. I'm clicking the 3 dots, hitting delete. But you might be wondering, you know what? Okay, well, Bonnie, now the page is really short. Like this isn't going to look great. Well, this is where we can do a little bit of shopping around for some elements. You hit that new element button, and you're going to get an entire list of all the elements available to you that you didn't really see when we first started, such as that image banner. You know what? I'll drop one in here just to show you. Just drag and drop it in where you want it to land on your page. You like it, click save. If you don't, you can always click cancel. And you know what? We're going to add in one more. Let's scroll down to the bottom. This is our most newly added element, and that's that Calendly element. Where if you use Calendly, and I believe, Stephanie, correct me if I'm wrong, you can sign up for a free account with Calendly, especially if you're
Yeah.
just getting started.
Mhm.
Really great
Yep. Yeah, it's
resource.
free.
And we love free. So we'll get into that later on the page. But just to make sure we're good on time, I'm going to delete this call to action because we are making a 2-page website if I did not mention that. So buckle up. We just went through all of the administrative stuff. It's time to customize. And again, I'm going to be repeating a lot of things, but hopefully that means when you are starting, you just hear my little voice in your head saying, if you want to edit an element, click on it, and that menu to edit it will appear at the right-hand side. So let's go in. Let's edit this hero element together. And you know what? Usually with a hero, we want to have our company name appear somewhere towards the top. I'm going to say Bonnie Voyage. And let's go ahead. I'm going to copy some subheading in here. This would be a great place for a slogan if you have one. And I'm going to click into this image. Now, as you know, if you've built trips out before, we have a lot of different methods. I'm going to stick to our database today just to show you you can use everything within Travefy to really just create your website, consolidate, save some time, save some money that way. So for this one, let's go in. Italy is always a great destination. And as you can see, we have about 1 million different Italy pictures, and they're so hard to choose from. But something else that I always love to do is kind of just find a photo that matches the colors that you're going for. So for me, I'm going to click this one right here, and I'm going to click save. Click save again so you can see what I'm talking about. But you can kind of tell how those browns match. And this is just something nitpicky that I like to do. Just to make sure it's a cohesive site, try and find photos that have some of your brand colors in it. So if you're doing blue, blue is easy. There's 1 million pictures with blue things in them. But let's continue down. We're going to start building up a little bit. That was pretty simple, I hope. So let's take a look at this next element. Again, we're clicking into it because we want to edit it. Menu appears. And like I said, I'm not going to force you to watch me type a lot of this out. So I'm going to say for maybe the heading here, want to relax. We're kind of catching their attention. We want to try and think of ourselves as a client. What would they want to know? What would grab their attention? And you know what would grab their attention? The fact that we have the answer to their problem. So next thing, I'm going to just copy and paste some description in here. This is just talking about what my company would specialize in. And as you can see here is how it's laying out. One thing you might not notice is there's some 3 dots right here. So if you need more formatting options, click those 3 dots and you're going to get more options right here in terms of spacing, bullet points, etc. But obviously we don't want that part in there, so I'll delete that out. And again, find some images that you would want to use. So for this one, travel, this is the travel industry. We might as well search for a travel photo. And I'm going to grab, ooh, there's so many. I don't want to spend too much time on nitpicking around with this one. I'm going to go for this photo right here. Again, kind of has those brown tones that I always have in my photos. So we'll click save. So far, here are what things are looking like. Image banner, not too concerned. It's the same type of thing where if you want to find a photo, you can use that photo database or upload your own. But Calendly, here's the really fun one. Let's click into it together. For the heading, we'll say need more information. We always want to make sure there are different opportunities for someone who's on your page to be able to reach out to you, schedule a call if that's what you offer, get a hold of you via email, all sorts of things. So one of those ways is using that Calendly link and just providing some good messaging that's going to rope them in. It's kind of our last push to them to reach out if they haven't already. So let's say we'd loved to set up a quick chat. You might notice down here, it's going to say Calendly embed. We just need our Calendly URL. So I'm going to grab that real quick. I'm going to grab our training calendar link, paste it in here. And if anyone's not sure where to get that or how this works, we do have an FAQ on this element specifically if you like to just read the step-by-step instructions. But let's go ahead. Let's click save. Let's see what that looks like. And just by inputting the URL, it's going to show your clients all the times you're available. So if you're interested in a training, obviously we have more than enough afternoon spaces. But this is going to provide a really easy way for them to get a hold of you, schedule those calls, get some leads. But let's go ahead. I'm going to explain just this footer part. We aren't going to spend a whole lot of time on this for right now. But your footer is important to include your social media links. If you have social media, great. Make sure you provide links to those, and that just helps people who are on the internet verify you are a real business. So, a lot of times, Facebook, just fine. Don't feel like you have to have every social media, especially if you're just starting out. But so far, here's what everything is looking like. And if you remember, I said we were going to do a 2-page one. So you got to stick with me. If we need to make multiple pages, we just want to come back up towards the top and select Create New Page. And you can create as many pages as you want. So that is the beauty of things. And you can also do a combination of creating a website as well as just single standalone pages if you want to market it to a group, anything like that. So let's create that second page. I'm not going to force you to go through the edit page menu with me again. I'm sure you know all about that. Well, actually, I'm doing one quick thing. I'm going to make sure to put in our colors just to make sure, again, that it looks cohesive. But let's find that color code, paste it in here, click save. And let's dive on into the second page. So a good second page, if you're trying to figure out what should my second page be, I see a lot of times an about page or a destinations page or an upcoming promotions page. Those are all really good choices if you are unsure of what you want your additional pages to be. This one for today, we're going to have this be our destinations page. We're going to have some upcoming trips that we're promoting on this page that people can go to. So I'm going to put in the heading destinations. My other just tip to tell you is don't feel like you have to input every single box with text. You can leave some empty so it's not as overwhelming. But let's grab an image. This time, let's give a little love to, let's do Sweden today. I'm not sure if we have anyone from Sweden, but if we do, I'm going to grab a photo from your country and let's go with, this one looks fun. And again, kind of has some brown colors in there before I click save. Now, click save one more time, and this is what that would look like. Let's continue on down the line. Here's our favorite element of all time, the aside element. You can use this for a lot of different things. And there are a lot of different website builder examples out there, especially if you are in Facebook, the Travefy official group, which is, has a ton of great advice from other advisors who use Travefy who are in the industry. And one of the things that we've been seeing lately for destinations, especially, is using the aside elements to just talk about each destination. Pretty straightforward, and it provides a really nice look to your page. So for the header, let's do Europe. For the subheading, let's do nothing. And I'm just going to paste in some description right here. So copying and pasting right into here. We're just talking a little bit about Europe, what we would do for Europe, giving clients, again, just a good idea of what it would be like working with us and getting them excited about it. Now, we could always put in a video. A lot of elements are going to have a video option. So if you do YouTube or if you're working with a supplier that has a YouTube video, put a YouTube video in. It's super easy. You copy the link, paste it in, no coding involved. Thank goodness. But like I said, I'm sticking to my promise of just using the database today, and I'm going to search wine glasses, just in honor of Stephanie being on. So let's find a good wine picture for her, and we're going to grab this one down here before we click save. And something else too, I always say is experiment around. Don't feel like you are being locked into any choice. It is by all means okay to try something out, and if you don't like it, you can always start again. But I'm not going to take another time to put in another aside element. We're going to hop right into how do we really promote our trips that we've created in Travefy? How do we get warm leads and how do we manage all of that? And so, what I'm going to use is this gallery. You're going to have the gallery element available if you go to New Element, but let's click into this together. This one's a little bit different compared to the rest, it's a little bit special. So for the heading, I want to call this and I want it to grab attention. So maybe upcoming trips. We'll leave it at that. And you can kind of see that title up there if I scroll up further. I would say add some description. What does upcoming trips mean for you? And we're going to click into the pencil icon. Let's say, and this is all hypothetical, let's say though that I want to put a trip right in here. I have this Christmas trip coming up for 2024. And if they want to look at it, I'm going to put that there. So I'm going to find my pencil icon, which in Travefy usually means you can edit something further. And I'm going to scroll actually all the way to the bottom. Now, hopefully you can see this. We have a couple of things to choose from. Import from Travefy and this button option. We're going to look at both ways. But for this card specifically, we want to select that import from Travefy and select that trip option. Once I select trip, here's what that's looking like. I only have 2 trips right now in this account. But for you, if you have a lot, you can use that search bar to search for the different trip names that you're wanting to put on here. I'm just going to click this one. And if you noticed, it's going to put that cover photo that you have on your trip right into this card along with the title and if you filled out the price on your trip. So mine was starting at $5,000. Now, and by just a quick note, I'm not sure if that is like the industry standard. I just chose a random number out there. Uh, but let's go ahead, put in a little bit of description here. I'm going to say, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to try and come up with something clever, but you get the idea. You would want to put in a little bit of a note about what would it include? What could you expect from this cruise? Why would you want to book this cruise with me? But let's go ahead and click save. And something we haven't done at all during this webinar, I realize, is previewing it. As with trips, you always can preview something before you send it out to your clients. Same as here for the page builder. If we hit preview, this is what that's going to look like for us. And so we can kind of test out those buttons. Okay, here's that trip. If someone clicks view trip, it takes them right to that itinerary that you should be used to seeing. So they can still click into any of those photos, videos if you have that, links, etc. The only real difference is that there's a contact button up here versus the app or PDF option or the approve option. This way, if they've never talked to you before, they can put in their name, their email, send you a quick message, and this goes directly to your inbox where you can follow up with them, get them on that call, whatever it might be. But just another way that you can really get some warm leads from either your page or your website. But let's go back. We're exiting that preview once again, and we're scrolling back down to that little area we've been working on. And again, we want to click on it to edit it. We're going to choose the pencil icon for this middle section. And last time, just as a quick recap, we selected that import from Travefy selected trip and then chose the trip we wanted to connect. But let's say we need to get a wait list. Maybe this is filled up, but spots can open up anytime. So I'm going to put a form on there to get that. I'm going to call this wait list. And for the description, I would probably put just instructions on how to go about this, why I would want you to be on the wait list. But we're scrolling to the bottom. We're going to talk about buttons. And buttons are really a key way to make your website or page interactive. The more interaction there is, the better. So let's click that pencil icon for that button area. And by doing so, I say work from top to bottom. What do we want this button to do? There's a lot of different things we can do with a button. And we want to, for this one, say, I want them to fill out that waitlist form I've created. Perfect. I'll select form. It's going to just adjust a little bit to your choice. I want to say, you know what do I want that button to say? I don't want it to say view trip, so I might say fill out here. And from there, we have 2 last options. If you have a form in your library currently, you can select import from Travefy, and your forms are going to show up here. go ahead, you can click into whatever form you want. I'm going to just grab my client intake one. But if you've never created a form, you aren't really sure what the heck I'm talking about with the library, select new form for right now. And you can grab this new trip inquiry template, or you can create just a brand new custom form just within this builder. But let's go ahead. I'm going to make sure I have that client intake. I'm going to click save 5 more times and locking that in. And let's select preview. And I'm, again, scrolling down. I just really want to test out to make sure those buttons look the way I want them to, that they work the way I want them to. So if I select fill out here, we're going to get a little pop-up window. I got this from our library gallery, so I can't take credit for this form, but thank you to whoever shared that with us to be able to share it with other advisors. But as you can see, they just fill out the information. And once they submit that, of course, you are notified that a submission has been given and you can follow up with them. Now, as the client though, once I'm done, I'm still on your website. I can still poke around, see what else you have on there. It doesn't take me to another tab, which is super nice. It keeps me right here. So with that being said, we just went through really importing that trip, importing that form. Now, again, you're going to get familiar with the symbols on the website builder, such as the pencil icon, such as the 3 dots. 3 dots usually mean you can delete something. You can typically drag and drop things as well. But let's click save. I'll leave the Santorini photo. It's definitely not on theme with the brown theme that I'm going for, but I want to make sure we can get to any other questions. One thing I'm going to do is go right down here. We're going to look at one more button type since we have time. And call to action. We kind of went over this with the Calendly. This is our last push to people to reach out if they haven't already. So with that being said, I would probably want to say add a button here. Usually if you see an add button option, go for it. It's never a bad decision. So let's do email address for this one. Pretty straightforward. Put in your email address. We'll put it in Travefy. So if you ever need help, professional@travefy.com. And again, let's say what we want the button to say. How about inquire once more before we click save? Save again. And if someone were to click on that, it would open up a message where they can email you directly. Again, buttons are a great way to get warm leads, make it interactive. We can also do external links. So that's what you would want to do for social media. If you have any affiliate links, use that external link option. You can do that really easily. But the last big thing here is how do we connect these pages together? And you might have seen what that answer could be if you looked at that button menu. So what I'm going to do quick, I'm going to go to our homepage. Here's where we started off. And I'm going to go to our little navigation bar up here. Something quick since we're doing okay on time. I am going to upload a logo. And here's my other tip here. One, this logo would not fit in my navigation bar. It is just too tall. If you have run into this issue, try and get a logo that is horizontal. Just squish down a little bit more. So, and if you need any help with that, feel free to reach out. We can always give you some pointers. I always want to make sure your photos are going to fit in there. But by doing that, it's going to fit just a little bit better. Versus, again, if it's tall, it's going to be really squeezed down and you could barely see it. But how do we connect those pages? Getting back on track. Well, we want to say link type or button type will be to a page. Select page. And from here, we can say what page. I didn't title my second page, but it's this one. And for the text, think of when you're on a website, either if you're shopping, anything like that. Usually there's buttons at the top that you can click into to get to other areas, and this is exactly what we're doing. So for the link text, we probably want to say destinations. Here's what that's looking like right up there. I'm going to click save a few times, and here's something else that's key to testing this out. If I hit preview, and you might have run into this before if you've ever tried, playing around with this. If I do the page button, click destinations, you're going to get a 404. And there's a reason for that. That is because that destinations page of ours, we have not published. So it's going to do that unless you publish them. So with that being said, let's do that. Let's select publish. Publish is putting it out on the internet. There we go. And you can also make these hidden, so feel free to publish, play around with those buttons if you need to do some more editing. Just make it hidden and select save. Let's go back though to our homepage. This is where we're kind of hopping around, but we're going to publish this one as well. And I'm going to just click that link here, paste it into my search bar. It's out there on the internet. And if I select that destinations button, it takes us right to that destinations page we created. So again, kind of going back to our little vocab lesson at the very beginning, a landing page is a single page. A website is really just multiple landing pages connected together through those buttons. But I hope that was helpful. I know we always go through so much, and I hope that it wasn't too overwhelming. Take a breath, take 5 seconds, and let's get going ahead with some questions. Otherwise, I've got tips all day
Woo!
for folks.
Oh, there's so many tips galore. Oh, there's so many questions. I will jump in. But first, I
Okay,
just have to
perfect.
say there's so much excitement in the chat. Like so many
Whew.
people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome. I can't wait to create." People have different different things they're trying to market and trips and all that.
Yes.
So it's so cool. One thing too, because this question's coming up a lot as well, is this recorded? And yes. So it is being recorded. I know because it's one of those things that you're gonna wanna go back and watch this and, like, maybe I know there's some people who are, like, building their website as you're watching Bonnie, which is really cool.
I
But
love
yes,
that.
it I know, isn't that cool? So it's awesome, and yeah, it will be recorded. We'll actually get it on our YouTube channel, pretty quickly after it's done, but you'll also receive an email with that recording as well. So it's super
Yes.
cool. Okay, now questions. I've got so many here. So one,
Excited.
this is a big one, and this always gets popular. Is Javier asked, is there a way to make the left side logo, so your logo in the navigation bar, a little bigger? And can you just go over like the tips of what we recommend of to get it to look, the best it can be?
Yes, absolutely. Logos are always one that you want to make sure it looks good. Obviously, that is your brand. You're putting it out there. And so really, I've come across a few different ways to make sure your logo fits. One, try and make it so it's all on one line, if that makes sense, and keep it very cropped close together. So for me, let's go ahead. I'm going to do that upload button again. Gonna click here. What I did to get that version of my logo is I actually cropped it so there was a very tiny space outside of it. Now, if I tried to put that in here, click save, you can see that you can barely read that. I don't think I can actually read that. It feels like I'm at the eye doctor and we're doing the tests.
Oh
So
no.
you that it's just not great. So that's why I always say try and crop it. There's a lot of different tools out there. I know, for instance, Canva is one that a lot of people love to use. I love to use Canva. That's a great way to crop it. Otherwise, too, with either if you're on a MacBook or if you are on a Windows or a PC computer, usually there's a snippet or a crop tool that you can use. And I use that tool a lot of times to make sure my logos fit. So again, to get your logo in, just crop it as close to the text as you can without any extra space to squeeze it down. But hopefully that helps, but always
Yeah.
available to help with any tricky photos.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like getting that in. And sometimes it's even just like, yeah, just like a little extra space and you just have to crop it a little and then it's fine. So you
Mhm.
never know. Okay, another question. This one was coming up a lot too, is there a limit to how many pages that someone can create?
There is not. There is no limit. You can make as many of these as you want. I think on my main account, I have like 20 pages at this point. Half of them are for my website, half of them are just single standalone pages. So make as many as you want and feel free. Oh, this maybe this came up as a question. This actually reminds me of something. With a website, usually you want your navigation and footer to stay consistent across all of your pages. Something you can do to save yourself time instead of having to create a new page, manually do the whole navigation bar again, the footer again, you can make a copy of your homepage. So just by clicking your edit page menu, the menu we all love, click this little symbol right here in the middle. And this creates a copy where you can just go in and you can just delete out the middle sections without having to go through, make a million links again. It's going to stay consistent. You don't have to redo your logo. That is
Yeah.
one little trick that I love.
Mhm. That is a big one. I know, and it is, like, hidden, so I'm glad you showed it because that can
Yes.
really help save a
I
ton of
forget
time
about
for
it all the
people.
time, but it saves so much time.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. And, okay, so this one okay, so I wanna, like, topic this around images because there's so many questions with it, but there's one thing that I have to say really quick. Okay, so, Yolanda had asked about, like, resizing images that, it just gets kinda tricky sometimes resizing because every screen size can be different, so it just looks different.
Yes.
However, we are releasing I wish it was already released because it's
I
probably
know.
coming, like, in a day or 2. It's coming, like, seriously so soon. Do not be surprised if you hear from us, like, tomorrow on this, but they're just getting ready to release, the ability where it will be easier to format, and it's basically, like, where it'll be, like, a collapse mode where it's just gonna work, pretty much the same, like, when you click in to edit it and you are deciding what you wanna show, it really will stay at that. So, stay
I know,
tuned.
it's just saying like, "Oh,
Coming.
it's coming," and it really is. We've been talking about it all week for the past couple weeks, and this sounds like the week. We've got a lot of
It's
things rolling out,
oh
so
my
if
gosh, so
you
much.
are not a part of the Facebook group, definitely join. I think that's where Stephanie usually starts out with announcing items,
Mhm,
so
they're first to know. Definitely. I'll
first
I'll
to
put a
know.
link to the Facebook group, so I'll make sure. Yeah, so you will be first to know in there. It's really yeah, it's gonna be awesome. But another thing on the, images though is first, how can you just quickly show how you can upload your own, but also
Yes.
videos? Because somebody asked, "Can I put a video in?"
That is an excellent question, and I'm gonna pull up YouTube on my other window right here, and we might hear Stephanie's voice because it plays
Oh.
automatically, when we go. But let's go ahead, let's take a look at an aside element. Aside elements and carousels, which is this one right here, I believe are the ones you can add a video to. But I'm gonna drop in a right aside, just again, dragging and dropping it in. I'm gonna click right into that image area. Now, I've been sticking with Pixabay this entire time, but if you just choose that upload method, you can go in, you can find your downloads, you can find your desktop ones, but that's an easy way to just go about it as well. Again, big tip, make sure you click edit to just customize that cropping size as best you can. Now, upon clicking save, it might look kind of funky. I would probably have to go in and redo that one because I don't have it sized correctly. But let's take a look at video. I'm gonna just find one. Most recent video looks like it was from the lounge. So I'm gonna click share on that, copy it, and actually let me just drag. I don't know if I can actually drag and drop my screen over, but you basically wanna grab that YouTube link, paste it in here, click add video. It's going to bring over the thumbnail automatically. You don't have to do anything besides finding the link before you click save and save again. And that way, when clients are on here, they can just go in, play the video just like so. But yeah, that's a really fun way, especially if I know wave season just seems to be starting sooner and sooner. But if you ever are doing cruises, a lot of cruise lines are going to have videos, either a walkthrough of the ship or if it's a big cruise that's being promoted. Take that video. They want you to sell cabins anyway. Take their videos, put it in here, and that way clients can get a good idea of what they're in for. But no, that's a great question.
Yeah, it's super cool that you can do that. Um, so another question here is, does it cost extra to use this, to use the website landing page builder?
Nope. Any and all features in Travefy are included in your subscription. So this doesn't cost extra, especially if you have maybe like, I don't know, 50 pages. You aren't going to see any additional charge for that. Same thing with, oh, and I didn't mention this either. And I'm glad that this reminded me, but domain masking. If you
Yeah.
own your domain, highly, highly recommend either one, setting up an appointment with us or asking us for the step-by-step guide. Otherwise, I believe, Stephanie, you could put it in if you have the
Mhm.
chance. But if you have your own domain, let's say I own a domain called, actually I do, I own the domain bonnievoyagetravels.com. Go in, set up your domain. This is free to do. And this is a great branding decision because not only will your website page builder links have your domain name, company name instead of Travefy's, your trip links are going to show your name as well as form links. We really aren't interested in advertising to your clients at all. So, by all means, go in there, put your brand name on all of those links. Now, it looks really tricky when you first look at it. It still kind of looks like gibberish to me. So, highly recommend. As you saw, we have a million, not a million, but we have some open slots even this afternoon if you want to schedule some domain masking sessions with us. Takes maybe 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
basically,
Yeah, you could get
to
it
go
done
back,
today.
no extra charges for any of this.
I know, and that's, like, the biggest thing where when we came out with this, it's really crazy, especially just all the things that hearing all the time now we hear people, they're like, "We're saving hundreds of dollars, by not using another website builder. You're just using what's already in Travefy that you already paid for, and then you can just do
Exactly.
your domain masking for free in Travefy." Like, just I mean, it's amazing. So good.
It's definitely nice having all of your systems in one place, and we are just continuing to build, build, build to try and get it to that one-stop shop. So, really appreciate, all of you exploring these different features and spending time with us to learn more about them, investing in your software.
Yeah,
Um, but
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, so I've got another one here, it's from Danessa, um, they said I really want to showcase certificates of trainings I've completed on my website. But whenever I try to load the pictures in, it never allows me to get the whole image. So here's what we would recommend. Suggestions that we would say is like using something like Canva, because that's just easy to take our dimensions that we say are the best and then, or that are going to look the best, and then just use them that way. But then also maybe consider using the small card gallery element. That's what we've seen a lot of people do. Because I've seen that where they'll put like all their certifications down at the bottom, and they'll just use that gallery in there, and then it makes it easier. But also have to say, when we do release this new way with the image stuff, it might actually just work the way without having to resize, but still recommend. In fact, actually, I'm going to put that FAQ of the sizes in the chat right now. It's probably a good
Perfect.
idea.
And I would say too, with resizing, of course, this week, by the end of this week, you shouldn't need this anymore. But if you're trying to get something in right now, can't say it enough. I probably said it 10 times. Feel free to chat us. We're always happy to help with that. But also, if you are trying to fit something in and maybe it's being cropped out, let's go back to maybe like this when I had uploaded my big logo, it was being cropped a little bit. What I would recommend is adding more space around that image that you're trying to fit in. So if you do use Canva, just grab what that image is, squeeze it down so there's more white border or whatever border it is around there, extra space. I know that's the opposite of what I said to get the logo to fit in here, but really this is the only place where I would say crop it as close as you can. Other images to fit things in, go ahead, add more space around it to make it more flexible. But yeah, there's a
Perfect.
lot of ways to do it, and I feel bad that we have to keep saying, "You know what? By the end of this week,
Yeah,
we're
it'll
gonna need it."
yeah, I mean, you still can make it work now, but yeah, it will just be a little bit easier so it's really
Yes.
exciting in that way. One other question. I know you touched on this already, but can you go and show where the different places you can add like social media links at?
Yes, and we didn't really go over this, so I'm glad you asked. But footers. Footers are at the bottom. This is generally where your social media links are going to want to be. And let's go ahead, click into it. We have some set up for you. Facebook, pretty standard. I'm gonna click into the pencil icon for this. And it's, again, already set up for you. All you have to do is put in your URL as well as the text if you want it to show as Facebook, just like down there below. Or if you just want the symbol, you can leave the link text completely empty. But on the flip side, maybe you don't have Facebook, maybe you have something else. I'm going to click in here. You can change the icon at any time. So if you have a Pinterest that you want to put on there, select the Pinterest one, and you're going to get that little icon to show instead. But good question. My other little tip with social media ones, I would say keep maybe your top 1 or 2 social media links also in your navigation bar. And you can do that by adding an item, and again, saying whether or not it's a link or a text. You want to do external link, and that way you can choose whatever icon it is. But
Yeah, that's cool.
all
There's the
good
icons.
questions. Yes, icons, links, and buttons, you might see that. They're pretty much the same thing. But if you do have any confusion on that, let us know.
Perfect. So this is another one that comes up. Sometimes, often, as Todd asks, my terms and conditions are not editable due to legal requirements and require me to put them on the web page link where a client can find them. So we hear this a lot. So where you have to have certain things on your website. He asked, how can I do this on my own website? And what we've recommended and seen others do is create. You can do it two ways. You could either just create an external link and put it like in your footer, or you can create a whole new page. So Bonnie, I'll let you show how to do that. Like if you want to
Yes.
just create a page.
I was going to say, I personally like having one page dedicated to like commonly asked questions and your terms and conditions. Pretty much things you want to provide to interested parties, but you don't want it to be, what takes up the bulk of your homepage or anything like that. So, kind of just like what we did with destinations, you'd want to go in, select create a new page, or you can make a copy of this page. And from there, I would say kind of just delete out everything in between. You can do this from your edit page menu, which is where I'm at currently. Just click your three dots, delete it, delete it, delete it. And once that's all empty, go into your new element and we're going to scroll down. I'd suggest your text block. This is where you can put in your terms and conditions. You can put in, its own section about if you have commonly asked questions or just FAQ to knows. Uh, but really nice just to have that available. And you can also send then the individual link to clients who are asking for it, saying, hey, can I get your terms and conditions? My partner and I just want to take a look at it. Sure, here's the direct link to it. But pretty straightforward with that, hopefully. But I'm going to click save. The other thing that you can always do as well, and which Stephanie was kind of talking about, is you can always keep it on your homepage. There's no right or wrong way to do it. Those are just other options.
Mhm. And could you show how, like, if you wanted to add it, like, to the footer, like,
Oh,
how
yeah.
would you do that?
Let me go back here. Let's pretend at least this is just solely dedicated to terms and conditions. What I'm going to do, one, is publish this. And I'm going to call this something. I'm going to call it our terms and conditions so I know which page is which. Again, that's just going to help me. And let's go back to the home page. I'm going to go all the way down here. I'm going to put in a link. I'm going to click on there just like last time. And I'm going to actually add an item in. I'm going to call it a link. And we're going to set it up as a page link. So we'll select page. And again, we're kind of just connecting those pages together. Page, which page do I want to connect? Probably the terms and conditions. And we'll just type that in here as well. Now you might notice it's on the other side of that contact us button. If you did not know, you can drag and drop these to rearrange them. So if I wanted to, I could put them next to my services button. Now it's on the other side. We'll click save, publish, preview, just like usual. And now if we go to terms and conditions, it takes me right there. But again, each page has
Amazing.
its own unique URL, so you can always just send the direct link to them as well.
That's awesome. It's so easy. I love it. It's
Yeah.
incredible. And actually, so you already, I mean, you just actually kind of naturally did this, but Yolanda had asked, like, how do I link my landing page from my Travefy website? So let's say, you have your Travefy website like you have right now, but then you start making landing pages. Like, how would you link those together?
Yeah, your button that you are going to want to use, and really is the key to all of this connecting separate pages together, is that button where it says page. You might notice a couple of other ones. Page is going to be the one you are going to want to select. And we do all of the work for you. We're going to automatically say, okay, she wants to do a page. He wants to do a page. Let's see, what pages do they have? They have 3. Here are the names of them. You choose which page you want to connect to this button on this page. Say that 3 times fast. But
Yeah.
I honestly think, and I'm not sure if you've shared this out yet, but the button types FAQ is probably the most helpful when it comes
Mm.
to trying to navigate how those buttons work.
Let me get that. Yeah.
But
Here
a lot
it
of the
is.
other
It's
ones,
coming in.
perfect.
And while I share that, another question here is Christy asks, how do you find and share the URL for your website once it's built?
Great question. Edit page is going to have your answer. Once you publish it, you're going to get this URL right here. Now, for Travefy, And if you aren't domain masked, this is typically what it's going to look like. You can copy this, paste it into your social media post, put it into your email signature, wherever it might be, and people can get to it that way. When you domain mask, you'll instead see your custom URL. Still the same thing. It's just going to have, obviously, your domain name versus Travefy's. Either way, edit page menu. Once it's published, you'll see that URL become available. But hopefully that
Sweet.
helps.
Yeah. Another one for you here
Perfect.
is Richard asks, what element or like form would you use to collect email addresses for newsletters? So like how would you do that if you want to start collecting email addresses?
Yes. And let me go ahead. Let's click onto this element. We haven't added a button here. I'm going to say, let's create a form. I'm going to say new form. And something specific to this one, new trip inquiry is really a great template that you can customize. And we have it set up in a way where upon submission, that client is going to be creating an automatic contact. So it's easy to follow up with. But let's go in, click add new. As you can see, you can do a lot of different questions. The big thing is making a form that includes smart fields. So we'll do this together really quick. Smart field, you can say, what do I want this to be? Am I asking a name or am I asking an email, phone, address? You said email, we'll select contact email. And by doing that smart field, when they submit their answer to you or submit their response to you, that's going to send you that notification that's going to create that automatic contact for them. So that's a way that you can kind of cut down on the manual labor that you would have to do. You don't have to check the response, go in, okay, now I need to create a contact, put in their information. Smart fields are really the key to saving time.
Yeah,
But
that's a good point.
I do have one that, and I'm not sure if you shared this out already, but let me go to it really, really quick. And that is the library gallery. These are pretty much all items that were shared to us by other users. So thank you to the users who have shared out their content to share to you guys. But definitely check out the forms and task. I believe the one that I got a copy of, let me see if I can find it. Da, 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 da. It might have been, swore it was a Jennifer. Oh, there she is right in front of me. This is one that I took. Take a look at it. It's excellent. It's going to ask really great questions. And if you want it, all you have to do is say copy to library and they'll save to your account to customize with your info.
So amazing. I just shared that too in the chat.
Perfect.
So check that out, everyone. It is so nice. I love that. That's a whole other thing that could be its own webinar is
I
like
know.
how you can just share everything.
I know. The travel community is amazing. You guys already know that since you're in it, but just being able to have your own community where you can share knowledge, share resources. I love the library gallery for that reason.
Someone just said that's the one I use. Like it's awesome.
Yes, it's so good. So Jennifer, if you're out there, thank you. We
Thank
love
you.
it.
Heck yeah, it's amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so I think we have like two more questions. So I'm gonna get to one.
Perfect.
Okay, so this one's really cool. So this is like next level here. Bianca asked, is there a way to track the analytics of your pages?
Yes,
So is there a
there
way?
is. And it's pretty simple to set up, at least from if you are familiar with the system already. So maybe it's not, but let's go ahead, click the settings gear, and you're going to have this little analytics tab. If you have Metapixel or Google Analytics, you can just go in, say, you know what, I have Metapixel. I'm going to click Manage Website Analytics. It's taking us back to our account settings if this looks familiar at all. And you can go in and you can set it up. Now, as you can see, you need to set up your domain first. This is how those systems can track those clicks. So make sure you are custom domain masked, which again is free to do, free to set up a session with us. But once that is done, you just put in your Metapixel ID or your Google Analytics ID. I forget what they term it as. But once you have that in there, select connect and you are golden. But again, probably now 11th, 12th time I said it, feel free to chat us. We have all the resources that we can give to you.
No, and it's so important to you that you mentioned that because I know there's so many questions that we don't have time to do. So
I
sorry, but we can help though for sure. So in that chat,
that
email,
chat.
training, all of the ways. The other thing though, Bonnie, so so Bonnie made something really cool for you all, and I have the
Oh,
link
yeah.
ready to go, but I don't know if you wanna open it up and share, but Bonnie's leaving you with a little freebie here today.
Yes, let me see where I put that, and then Stephanie can share it out, or
Throw
I
it in the
can
chat.
as well.
I can put it in
But
here.
I know how much this can feel overwhelming because we hop around a lot of different topics, especially with questions at the end. I put together a little outline guide. So if you need to go back, kind of just see a high end overview of what we covered, I put in my top 5 tips, takeaways from today, as well as just some website examples that were shared with us previously. Always a really good way to kind of get ideas going, just to see, what is possible. I have an idea. I need to put it on to paper, but I'm not sure how to go about it. Just viewing website examples is a great way to just, again, kind of get those ideas rolling. But hopefully you find this helpful. We'll be uploading the recording soon. And I'm also going to put in the website link that we built together today if you want to refer back to anything we built out.
That is
All
awesome. That's so incredible. I just put that in there. Oh, Janet, thanks for showing my website. Yeah, thank you for sharing it with
Yes,
us, Janet.
Janet.
Yes, it's so cool. We love seeing those. That's another thing though that I'll mention is in the Facebook group. It's really fun to see people in there. I think there was just a post just this week where someone was asking if they have examples, and they were sharing them, and even we get ideas from them because we're like, oh, that's a
Yes.
really creative way to use that element or all that. So it's really cool. So highly recommend that. The one last thing though, and I know Bonnie keeps mentioning this, but I know there's so many questions we didn't get to. So
No.
where can I find resources if they need to? Which I
Yes.
know there's a
Well,
lot.
besides us being available, because we love to talk to you guys, feel free to grab that help button at the top right corner of your account. One Facebook group link's going to be in there. Your FAQs is where I would recommend going. Searching, if you're like, oh my gosh, I know there's an FAQ about buttons, feel free to search buttons. It will come up for you. Also, getting started guide. Always a good one if you just need a quick refresh, but you don't want to tune in to, however long webinars they are. These are just quick 4 or 5 minute ones that you can check out. But Help Center, always available to you, again, within the top right corner of your account.
Oh yeah. Also, something really cool. Our getting started guide videos, Bonnie and I literally just redid like 30 of them. And so they're not listed yet, but they're coming. And so you're going to hear our voices a lot more.
Yep, we're just
Hope
gonna be
you
living in
enjoy.
those for a little bit. But no, super great. I would say last thing before I leave you guys to your day is one, experiment around. That's like probably the biggest thing. Don't feel like when you create something, it's going to be out there on the internet. You have to hit publish to do that. And you can always unpublish it. So play around with it, have fun. Don't feel like it's something you have to do or feel like it is just super overwhelming because of that. Always here to help. Have fun with it. Uh, you can also just like look up on Pinterest, just website examples. That's a great way. That's kind of how I laid out some of my websites, just seeing different examples online. But find what you like, kind of just go with it.
That's a good point because it really does. I mean, like I've gotten in there before too, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to build an example website. And then I'm like, oh, I have too many options.
I
Oh
know.
no, there's too many
Sometimes it's a
ideas.
little
Oh
overwhelming.
no.
So
Yes.
if
So
you
it's
find
true.
something you like, kind of just work off of that and go from there.
Yeah, that is great. Well, this is awesome, Bonnie. Thank you. And now you've inspired me. I want to go create some websites now.
Yeah.
Like this is just so cool.
Go
Amazing.
create some websites, now that you're in Chicago, I'm sure you can create a little Chicago, special spotlight one. But
I
no,
love
this
it.
was fun. I hope you all have a happy holidays if you celebrate. But yeah, this was really fun. Feel free to email us if you have any questions or if you need anything.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye,
See
everyone.
ya.